Hello there. I'm really excited to talk to you about 3 reasons that Latinas tend to burn out. This is a really important topic because a lot of us are so talented and such hard workers. It's in our bones. But there are 3 things in particular that I want to point out. There are several more, but 3 in particular I want to talk to you about today because those are the ones that I see be the most prevalent ones that are affecting Latinas in many ways, not just personally, but professionally. Because when they end up burning out, their career suffers, not just their health, but both of these. And so the first thing that I want to mention is Marianismo. Now, if you don't know what Marianismo is, it's the traditional Latina gender role. This gender role expects you to be self-sacrificing traditionally. It focuses on being there to serve others, basically teaches you to put yourself last. Now, hear me out. I'm not trying to shame our culture. I love our culture. And honestly, I like this part of my traditional cultural values because it allows me to have empathy for others and to be very considerate. Like if I walk into a room and I see people are meeting, but someone's not talking, someone hasn't joined, I am going to take a moment. I'm observing, I'm seeing because I'm considerate of other people. And I'm going to take that moment, that opportunity to invite them to come into our home, right? Like when somebody comes and visits, you make them feel at home, right? You offer them some food, a cafecito, something, right? And so that's something that is ingrained in a lot of us, and it shows up at work too. Can you relate to that? So, like I'm saying, I love our culture. Marianismo also has this other side that is self-sacrificial. And this is what the research shows. I've done research on this. So that's one of the core pillars of Marianismo, to put other people first, to take care of other people. And that's great too. But when it comes to the degree of which you sacrifice yourself, that's where I have a problem. That's where we end up burning out. And so we have to be mindful of this because we're taught this since children. This is ingrained in us in childhood. And guess what? It doesn't stay in childhood. It stays within us as we grow, as we get older, as we go from school to being a professional. It shows up in the classroom, it shows up in the office. What does this show up like? Well, not speaking up, not sharing your ideas, taking on all these extra activities and responsibilities that are not supposed to be yours, but you want to be a team player, you want to be nice, you want to be likable. And so you say yes. I have someone who it was telling me how frustrated she was that she was on the elevator about to walk out of the office when somebody comes and says, "Hey, you got a minute?" And she just breathes like, "Okay, yes, I have a minute," when she really doesn't. And even if she did have a minute, let's say she's got nothing to do but go home and relax, which is very well deserved, and that's her right to do whatever she wants with her time. But because she wants to be accommodating, because she wants to be collaborative, it's something that's ingrained in us to do naturally. She says yes. And then she got frustrated with herself. She got frustrated with the other person who she felt like put up stepped over her boundary. And I told her, like, in that moment, what were you feeling that compelled you to say yes? And of course, like I told you, she said all those things about wanting to be nice and helpful, but not at your expense. And besides, if you burn out, you can't help other people. There's nothing in you left to give. So you have to protect your energy, if not for yourself, but for you to be able to show up for your family, show up for your colleagues, show up and do your best work. Protect your mental health. This spirals out of control. And before you know it, you've got anxiety, you've got depression, you feel unfulfilled, you feel just down, you lose your spark, you don't feel excited. And that's a big problem. You don't deserve that. And it's all avoidable. If we learn how to set boundaries, we learn how to say no without feeling guilty, have our me time, be able to rejuvenate ourselves. It's kind of like recharging our batteries. We have to take the time to do that. Just like cars have to have charged batteries. Imagine if they don't have it, they can't drive anywhere. And so the same goes for us. So that's one thing, Marianismo. The second thing is familismo. And so that's the importance of the family, doing things for the family, not being independent from the family, but part of the family. And so that means what we do affects that unity. And on the positive side, it's great that we have, family to depend on, to rely on, to talk to spend time with. But there's also a sense of obligation that often comes with that. And you may get pulled in several different directions, right? You're trying to do things at work, but then your family has needs. And sometimes your family just doesn't get it, doesn't understand what you're going through. And that's really frustrating when you feel like you just can't win at either place. Like somebody wants something from you here, somebody at home wants something from you, or your family wants something, needs something. And then there's this sense of guilt when you can't fulfill 100% for either one. But we're forgetting that you're also part of the equation here. You're not meeting your own needs. And like I said, if you can't meet your own needs, you can't be there for other people too, at work or at home. And so while on the one hand, your family is supposed to be someone that you can count on the other hand, it can be a lot of pressure to provide for them, to be there for them, especially if you've gotten to a certain level of success that people look at you, your family looks at you like you've arrived and you've got your own set of challenges professionally, right? That leads me to the third one, which is being a first generation success. I define this by being the first in your family to reach a certain level of education, a certain income level, or a certain professional level. And oftentimes as Latinas, we're the ones breaking barriers. We're the ones paving paths, the trailblazers. And so with that comes so many different challenges, right? You have to figure out how to navigate different places and spaces where you're not represented. And that, my friend, causes you to burn out even more because you've got that constant pressure, that stress of trying to make sure you're doing all the things. I remember one time I went to this fancy dinner a while back, and they've got like multiple forks and spoons, right? I felt so out of place because I'm not used to that. I don't come from that. I come from a working class immigrant family. I'm the first to have been born in this country. And, navigating two different worlds in and of itself is hard enough, but being the first one to break all these barriers, that's another level on top of the work that you have to do, on top of your day-to-day responsibilities. And so it's a lot to take on. No wonder you tend to burn out. And so if that's you, I invite you to reflect on this. What are the opportunities for you to slow down and take care of yourself? Because you can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. And honestly, that shouldn't be the motivation to be able to take care of yourself so you can take care of other people. I get it. That's part of our nature to be caregivers. But we matter too. We are of value too. And if we don't look out for ourselves, nobody else will. So that's our responsibility to ourselves. We have to show ourselves love. And we do that by self-care. And don't tell me you don't have time for self-care. Even 10 minutes will make a difference. I promise you. 10 strategic minutes of self-care. Don't know how? Reach out to me. I'll give you some tips based on your lifestyle and the amount of time that you have available to you. But this is prevention. We want to prevent burning out because once you hit burnout, it's hard to recover. It takes some time. It takes changing your behaviors and your habits of operating in a way that got you burned out in the first place. Okay, so hang in there. I know it's hard. You need some support. Reach out to me, and I'm glad to give you some. All right, take care. Until next time, I'm Dr. Lizette, and I'll see you soon.